Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Shanita Jones. I am your child care CPA. And today I'm coming on live to talk to you all about our Cyber Monday Money Makeover. Now, we've gotten a ton of amazing questions about exactly what the offer is, what the program is, and how it can help you grow your child care business. So, first and foremost, I like to say that I hope all of you had an amazing Thanksgiving holiday for those of you that observed. And those of you that didn't, I hope that you enjoyed the time off. So, we have several questions, and I'm going to try to answer them in the order they've been received. But if you have any questions, feel free to drop your questions below in the comments, and we will get to them all. So, I think it might be easiest if I explain to you what the offer is. And then, if you have any questions, we can answer those questions if my explanation hasn't already explained it clearly to you. So, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share my screen and I'll show you the actual offer so that we can all be on the same page. And I'll translate this into English because those of you that have worked with me and know me, you know I am all about clarity and gaining financial clarity in your business. So I'm going to work on getting that to start. And while I work on getting that to start, I can begin to take questions or answer some of the questions also that I've already received. One of the primary questions that people have asked me is, will this work for me if I don't have an accounting system? Well, if you don't have an accounting system, we have even bigger issues to address, and we certainly can address that. But if you do not have accounting and you do not know what your numbers are, it's very difficult to improve something if you don't know where it is. And you can think about that when we're taking care of children and they have a fever, or as my grandmother said, they run in a temperature. And we know that high temperatures are bad and we need to get medical care, right? But once we start giving that child Tylenol, we cannot understand if it's an effective treatment if we don't know where we started from in the first place. So you can think of your business the same way. It's very difficult to improve your business or reduce your tax liability if you do not know what your current tax liability is. So, another question I received is, will this help me for 2021 only? Will it help me for future years? That's an excellent question. Any tax strategy that we work with you on, it will work as long as your situation remains the same. And what I mean by situation remains the same, I'm talking about income, expenses, employees, your business tax structure type. If all things remain equal and remain the same for the duration of your business, then the strategies that you get will continue to work. But our goal is not to stay the same in most cases. In most cases, our goal is to grow. So if your goal is to grow, as you grow, you will also need to grow and get more sophisticated tax strategies. Another question the same person asks, well, how long will it work? Well, how long will you stay where you are? How long do you want to stay where you are? And how long will you stay where you are just because of circumstances that may or may not be beyond your control? So then someone asks, well, what if I have another accountant? How will you be able to help me if I have another accountant? That might be one of the easiest questions for me to answer. And the way that we will help you if you have another accountant is we will need to get your profit and loss statement so that in the closest you have it to year end, the better. Because we need to see the revenue that you've brought in, the expenses that you've had come out, and that will show us what's left over. Our profit is our revenue, money coming in, minus our expenses, things that we had to pay for business purposes. And then if the number remaining is positive, we have a tax liability. And if we have a tax liability, our goal is to make that tax liability be as low as we legally can get it to be. So that is the goal of the money makeover. Another person, or it might have been the same person that had the question about if I already have a bookkeeper or an accountant, how can this help? Well, if you aren't sure that you are taking advantage of every deduction and credit that is legally allowable to you, if you aren't sure that your books are correct, if you aren't getting utility, that's usefulness, out of your reporting, or if you don't even understand how to read your reporting, this is an opportunity for you to sit down with myself or other members of my team that specialize in accounting and tax for childcare. That's pretty much all we do. um, it's an opportunity for us to sit down. So sometimes we're able to not see things that are wrong, but sometimes we see things that could be there and should be there that aren't there, simply because the business owner doesn't know that these things could be deductible for business. So I'm going to check the comments and see if we have any comments or questions. While at the same time, I'm multitasking. I'm going to pull the offer up and walk you through it step by step. So some people had a large or significant tax liability at the end of the year, last year, or every year. They don't understand why. They don't understand how to make estimated tax payments, what those estimated tax payments should be, if they should be making them at all. They don't understand how they should pay themselves, if they can pay themselves, and they have a variety of different challenges. This is your opportunity. There's people that want to work with us, but they're not sure they're ready for a full deep dive commitment. This is your opportunity to see what working with us is like. And if you have questions about that, we have plenty of information. So I couldn't get my screen to share the way that I wanted to. So I'm going to share it another way. Y'all bear with me. And as I share this with you, I won't be able to see you, but I can pull the offer up. If you guys can see the offer, do me a favor and just drop a number in the comments. So 1, 2, 3, the numbers don't mean anything. That engagement and interaction just lets me know that you can hear and see okay. And it also helps to ensure that Facebook knows this information or content we're sharing with you is useful to you and people like you, so to continue to show it to you guys. So the first point, QuickBooks Online File Review. That is where we go into your QuickBooks file. We do ask for bank statements because we are checking reconciliations. Reconciliations are not the transactions that is in your QuickBooks bank feed, but reconciliations ensure is actually a module in your software. It ensures that everything on that bank statement is in your accounting files and on your profit and loss and balance sheet. And it also ensures that everything that's there should be there and nothing is missing. So we review this file for completeness. Secondly, we review your file for accuracy. Accuracy, we're looking at the ending balance on your balance sheet and the ending balance on them statements. If those two don't agree, doesn't mean it's wrong. It means we need to understand why. There are some instances when that's okay, but it's clear to understand why that's so. We also look at the way your chart of accounts are set up. Are your chart of accounts set up in the most advantageous way so that you can get information about your business and know how to make changes and adaptations when you need to ensure that your books are running smoothly? The next thing that we look at in that QuickBooks Online File Review is we are looking for deductions that you may be able to take. We're looking at your tax structure. Is your tax structure set up appropriately? Thank you, ladies, for dropping that one. I can't see you, but I can see you on my phone. We are looking to see, is your tax structure the best structure for you totally, not just this year? A lot of you have gotten a ton of grant funding from stabilization, revitalization, and all different ARPA funds. You've gotten all sort of funds, and you may or may not be aware that those are taxable income. So what worked for you last year may not work for you this year. Furthermore, just because your situation looks one way this year, we're not going to make long-term suggestions for things for you to do for indefinitely if this is a one-time situation. So that's why we're looking at your QuickBooks file review. While we're looking at your QuickBooks, we also want to see your tax return. We need to see your last prepared or filed tax return. One person told me that they actually already had their 2021 taxes done. Now, of course, if your 2021 taxes are done, you don't want to file them because Congress is still making changes related to the pandemic, and you want to be sure that those changes are taken into consideration. The IRS is not even accepting returns yet. And if you are one of our people working with us, we will prepare your return as soon as we can, but we will not file your return until we know the IRS is accepting or it will get stuck in a black hole. So you'll know what your results, your tentative results and everything are, but we will not file it until we would feel comfortable filing our own, because we treat your money like we treat our money. We're looking at that last tax return because there are some things and situations that we have year to year, and we want to make sure in our projections we're taking your whole situation into consideration. So if childcare business is not your only business, if you file jointly with a spouse, maybe you have a child that was under 17 last year, and this year, or in 2021 rather, they turned 17. Maybe you have a kid going off to school. Maybe you're in school. There's a lot of factors that could be at play. Maybe you got a lot of grant funding, or maybe you lost a lot of money due to the pandemic. We're looking at your last year tax return, your year to date numbers, so that we can help advise you on what to do to best improve your situation. That's why we are asking for the tax return. Year end tax projections, that's the second point. Once we have access to everything you have in store, we can then tell you, based on all this information you share with us and all these numbers you've provided us with, this is what your tax liability will be. Or in some cases, this is what your anticipated refund will be. Anticipated and estimated, because Congress can still change things. Last year, they changed things I think they changed them in like March with unemployment. In the IRS, just the FYI, is still extremely behind due to them being severely understaffed. So we will estimate your tax projections, tax saving strategies. During our estimation process, we will also tell you things we may be able to identify to help you change your tax situation. We don't know what strategies are going to be available to you specifically until we work with you specifically, because everyone's situation are different. Prior year tax return review, while we're at it and we have all this information, we may as well go ahead and look and see if there was something from the prior year that could have been done, and maybe an amendment is in order if it will benefit you. We can do that. Maybe something was incorrect. If that is so, we will advise you an amendment can be prepared. That's not included, that's additional, but while we're at it, we'll go ahead and do that as well. And one of my favorite parts, in my opinion, the most valuable part perhaps, is a full year operating budget. We will look at your numbers, what's happened last year, what's happened in 2021. If you didn't have books last year, that's fine. We can see your tax return. We ask you questions, and then we plot out what your 2022 is going to look like. We're looking at your enrollment. We're looking at your average tuition per child. We're looking at how much you pay your staff, how many staff you need to facilitate the support of each of your classrooms or each of your age groups, your different programs you may be running. And once we plot this out, January, February, all through December, we also do it with your expenses. What's left over is your projected profit. So based on that profit, you'll know, okay, this is what I need to pay in quarterly taxes. If you're like me, you don't like to pay quarterly taxes. Maybe your business is set up so, or maybe you have other income arrangements where you can have the tax payments made from there, or we'll just tell you how to do it. If you don't want to hold on to the money to the end of the quarter, we can also show you how to pay it monthly as well. So that is the offer. Does anyone have any questions or see any areas you would like further clarification about? And I'm also going to try my best to pull up my messages that I did receive. Some of them came through our business inbox. Some came through my personal inbox, which isn't the most effective way to reach me. So Shannon Cooper asks, can the past tax year be 2021, considering all the grants, loans, child care relief, to ensure taxes were done correctly? We would supply the documentation for which periods above apply for tax purposes. So I had asked her for further clarification. She gave it to me. And what Shannon was asking was, when I say prior year, yes, we're talking about 2021. But if you haven't filed your 2020 tax return for some reason, we always look at the last tax return that was filed, and we're looking at your current year. So if for some reason someone did a 2021 tax return already, we will look at that, but we would still want to see the last return that was filed with the IRS. And if for some reason it wasn't filed with the IRS, Miss Valerie, I don't know how to pronounce your last name, says she's interested but confused. So what is all included? We'll be sure to get this video to you. And as far as quotes for 2021, Miss Alyssa, what we have in terms of quotes for 2021, we do not know what the 2021 rates will be exactly yet because we are not yet completely sure what Congress is asking of us to do. So I can tell you what all of our starting rates were last year, and it's my expectation that the rates will not increase substantially. Um, but there probably will be an increase. So I will share my screen and show you our older flyer. That has a few things on there that I need to correct, but I'm going to read it as it should be written just to give you a clear picture because I tend to be a visual person myself. And it's easier for me to understand when I'm looking at it, when I'm looking at whatever it is that you're explaining to me. So, in terms of tax return, individual tax returns, no business, W-2s, just families, our base price is $500. If your return is a partnership, an S corporation, those start at $750. What can influence it to be more expensive? Not giving us all the information at one time. If we have to work with you additionally, if you need accounting done to be prepared to have those tax returns prepared, that would be an additional charge. And if you have more than 2 members in your partnership and we have to prepare K1s, this is a requirement, that would be additional. Furthermore, if you have a C corporation or a 990 for a nonprofit, not a 990N, a full blown 990 or 990 EZ, those start at $1,000. Now, we will have, as every year, and I guess my screen didn't share, we will have, like we do every year, a year in tax readiness webinar. I have not yet selected a date for that, but we will be having a year-end readiness webinar, at which time you will have an opportunity to book a new client, a new tax client appointment. This is a 25, 30-minute appointment. There is a cost, $50, and we actually talk to you specifically about your tax situation, what we need from you, what you need to do, and we'll ask you specific questions for your information. We also have videos on our YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, please go subscribe to the Child Care CPA. On that YouTube channel, you can also find recordings from the last Child Care Tax Readiness webinars. And there's even a video there to show you what our process looks like and how our process works. The more efficiently that we can carry out our process, the more reasonably we're able to keep our fees. And the more that we're able to educate you, the better you're able to run your business and also prepare for the things you need to do. I think I covered everything and I'm still looking for more questions. So the year in child care tax readiness webinar, we do ask that you send your questions in advance. There will be an opportunity to ask questions there, but as usual, we have a lot of information to give you. So our primary goal will be to give you information. If you all submit your questions in advance by posting them in a Facebook group, then we're able to incorporate them into the presentation to make sure all of your concerns are addressed. I see another question from Miss Yvette. That's my mommy's name. Miss Yvette, she wants to know, could she just get an operating budget? So at this time, we're not breaking the bundle up. It's a full bundle. And I'm going to tell you why. It's very difficult to do a exact budget. Well, there's no such thing as an exact budget, but it's very difficult to do an accurate, realistic budget, and you have no basis for what happened before. Otherwise, I'm just taking a spreadsheet and I'm putting numbers, maybe wishful numbers, in a spreadsheet saying this is what's going to happen. But I have no basis to know if this is your real financial reality. So I find it somewhat irresponsible for a professional to do a budget for you and we don't even know. We trying to help you get somewhere. It's like you get in a car, you're going on a road trip, and you say, I'm going to 1234 Market Street. Those of y'all from Philly know what 1234 Market Street is. It's the public transportation headquarters. But it's very difficult to get in the car and say, I'm going to 1234 Market Street, and you don't know where you are. You don't know if you should go north, south, east, west, up, down. or if you can't even get there by car from wherever your position is. The same thing with the budget. You cannot effectively know where you're going if you don't know where you're coming from. And I'm not saying Miss Yvette doesn't know where she's coming from. I'm just speaking in general because I get that question a lot. Furthermore, it is also counterproductive to create a budget and not have a way to measure if you're staying on track. If you have a budget and you don't have a profit and loss statement to be able to say, this is what I budgeted for in this column, and this is what I actually did, and this is my difference. In accounting, we call it a variance, plus or minus. Then all you have is a bunch of numbers on a spreadsheet, a piece of paper, a PowerPoint, wherever you put it, and you don't even know if you're staying on track with your budget. And looking at your bank account balance is not a good way to know if you're on track with budget, because you could have that balance, and that balance could have come from anywhere, and you may not be on par with some things you want it to be, and then other things you may be doing better than you are. So that's why we created the budget that we created, because we want to ensure that everybody we works with has financial success. We could have just sold the budget by itself for the same price and sold a lot of them, but that's not what's good for you. So we think about what you want, but it's also important what you need, because if you don't succeed, we don't succeed, and we want everybody to succeed and win that's connected to us. Um, okay. I'm looking at the rest of the questions. Some of these are the same question. So hopefully this video will clarify things for people. Okay. So for those of you that were asking, could they do budget only? I am very curious to know if you'd like to do budget only, if you actually have an accounting system in place. So we're not separating it out. We're not separating it out for the reasons that I previously mentioned, simply because we know that you won't get the best results and you won't get the value that you need for your money if you don't have it. And it's important to us that you get the value for your money. You work hard. So I see we have a few. And before I close out, I'll also be waiting for additional questions. I'll just do one last quick overview of all the elements of the offer and what they need for those that may have missed it. If you catch this on a replay, do me a favor and give me a pound replay. It lets me know that you watched it. It lets me know that Meta or Facebook, whatever their name is today, is doing what it's supposed to do. And it also helps us get our content out to people that need it the most. Okay. So I'm going to share the offer one more again so I can explain. Again, QuickBooks File Review. QuickBooks File Review is looking at your books, making sure that it's right. We're looking for completeness. We're looking for accuracy. We're looking for any expenses that could be or should be there that are not. On the same note, if we discover that you have things being recorded as business expenses that should not be so, we'll let you know that as well. Because the IRS has just hired thousands of people just to audit small business owners. So a lot of times, if you have someone else doing your accounting or you're doing your own and you don't have accounting education or training, a lot of times these mistakes, these innocent mistakes, are easy to make, and it can mean fines and penalties. So we're reviewing your QuickBooks online account, your QuickBooks file. We like to get in there so we can click around and drill down and see what's going on. We're also checking reconciliations, making sure everything in your bank account is actually in your books, on your profit and loss and balance sheet, where they're supposed to be. We're looking at your chart of accounts. If your chart of accounts are the skeletons of your business frame, if your chart of accounts are not set up properly, you'll have stuff on the P&L that belongs on the balance sheet and vice versa. And what that could mean is you could potentially be paying more than you belong paying in taxes, and that's a travesty. Year-end tax projections and prior year tax return review. We ask for your last file or last prepared tax return so that we can see if there's any opportunities to take advantage of deductions and credits that you may not have existing. If we discover something on your prior tax return, we will also offer you the ability for us to amend that return if it makes sense. If it doesn't make dollars for you, it doesn't make sense for us to do it unless it's just inaccurate. And then in that case, we'll advise you. but you're not committed. But you are advised. Year-end tax saving strategies. We have to know your numbers so that we can help you save money in taxes. We have to actually see what came in, what went out, how did we categorize it, what is our profit. We're looking at your tax structure. Is your tax structure right for you? Should you be on payroll? Should you not be on payroll? Do you need to make a change? Did you receive a gang of grant funding this year that put you three tax brackets above where you normally are? That's happened to a lot of our folks. We're not going to go out and listen to every wind and doctrine carrying us away, having us make long term changes for a short term result that damages our businesses and our financial health going forward. And then lastly, where we started out at is the full year operating budget. We're giving you this budget, and then you can take your profit and loss every month and bump it up against your budget. If you do not have accounting, this may not be the best offer for you. There are some people that signed up that didn't have accounting. We will apply this fee towards your accounting if you would like us to do your accounting. So to do this, you need to know your numbers. Even if it's not in QuickBooks, if it's in Excel or Google Sheets or some other program, we need to be able to see what your finances look like. We need to see that profit and loss data. We need to see that balance sheet. We need to see the last year tax returns. Once we have this information, then we can help you with a full year budget. Unfortunately, at this time, we are not breaking the bundle up because to break the bundle up would do you a disservice because then our numbers are more theoretical and less scientific. So, did I explain that clearly? I tried my best. If I didn't and there's any more questions, y'all feel free to comment below on this thread. If you catch this on a replay, give me a hashtag or a pound replay so I know you saw it. And I'll also get this out to you via email if you were on our mailing list. If you are not on our mailing list, then I'll need you to drop your email. I'll need you to drop your email address, and we'll get you added this week when our team comes back to work on Monday. So thank you all so much for your time, and I hope that you had a blessed time off and a blessed holiday for those of us that may celebrate. Thank you. Bye bye.